When the idea of bridging the Delaware River came about, they turned to Penn's chair of architecture, Warren Powers Laird. And he had been a presence at the university since 1891. He really shaped the faculty of the school, and in so doing made one of the great architecture schools in America. When the idea of building this bridge came about, they turned to Laird to say, where do we put it? Where's it going to go? And this involves planning, this involves thinking about where the produce is coming from Jersey and how you're going to get your tomatoes into the city. The volume of traffic coming across the river. There was 28 to 32 million people crossing the river a year. And so to build a bridge was this great idea of connection, but it was also a point of civic pride. This was not just a question of engineering. They knew how to do that. They knew how to bridge. But the potential of adding to the civic infrastructure, to the beauty of the city, Laird said, we need an architect. And one of the most brilliant moves he made as the chair of the architecture program at Penn was to hire Paul Cret. Paul Cret came to Philadelphia from Paris fresh out of school in 1903. He immediately started to transform the city just by the very fact of his presence as the chief of design. So he was the chief critic at the school. So he trained 2 generations almost of Philadelphia architects who are the people who are shaping the urban environment. Cret's role in the Benjamin Franklin Bridge starts at the beginning. The engineer, Ralph Majewski, is hired, and a month later, Cret is hired. So Cret is there with the engineer, kind of deciding about relationships at the very grand scale of how this span is put together. The way that little elements relate to larger elements and that combine into a harmonious whole. Just this beautiful arc of a suspension bridge and the way the cables support it. Those are all elements that make a suspension bridge kind of an exciting element within architecture, within human experience. And these little touches that Cret adds to the towers, where there's just a gentle curve, where the road passes underneath the towers. For engineering reasons, that doesn't have to be there, but visually it reminds you of this gentle curve that you're on as you cross the bridge, and it kind of connects with that. The anchorages are the most visible aspects of an architect's work in any bridge. The idea that you need great weight and mass at the end of a suspension bridge, that's where all the tension goes from the cables. It gets anchored into great weight. But the decision to use the granite, the gray color of the granite, the roughness giving way to a slightly more dressed stone as it gets up to the towers, the shaping of the windows, it's done in such an elegant way. This brings it all together and makes it something more than just this thing that spans the river in an efficient way. It elevates it to the level of civic art. It makes us recognize that people decided to do this, and they decided to do it in a way that would be memorable. When they build bridges like this, they're not built for 50 years. They're not built for 100. They're actually built for something like 300 or 400 years. And Cret, in his work on the Ben Franklin Bridge, Laird in shaping some of the ideas of the team of engineers, they are all aiming at this being something that's more transcendent, that has a lasting value.